When you hear a show tune from the great white way, does a shiver run through ya? Well, we're giving them to ya. Sing hallelujah and shout hooray. Come on along and listen to Broadway to Main Street. USA.
The trouble with schools is they always try to teach the wrong lesson. Believe me, I've been kicked out of enough of them to know. They want you to become less callow, less shallow. But I say, why invite stress in? Stop studying strife and learn to live the unexamined life. Dancing through life, skimming the surface, gliding where turf is smooth. Life's more painless for the brainless. Why think too hard when it's so soothing? Dancing through life, no need to tough it when you can slough it off as I do. Nothing matters, but knowing nothing matters. It's just life, so keep dancing through. Dancing through life, swaying and sweeping, and always keeping cool. Life is fraughtless when you're thoughtless. Those who don't try never look foolish. Dancing through life, mindless and careless. Make sure you wear less. Trouble is rife. Woes are fleeting, blows are glancing when you're dancing through life. So, what's the most swankified place in town?
That would be the Ozdust Ballroom.
Sounds perfect! Let's go down to the Ozdust Ballroom. We'll meet there later tonight. We can dance till it lights. Find the prettiest girl, give her a whirl. Right on down to the Ozdust Ballroom. Come on, follow me. You'll be happy to be there. Dancing through life, if only because dust is what we come to. Nothing matters, but knowing nothing matters. It's just life. So keep dancing through.
And we are dancing and singing and acting through 54 minutes today with Norbert Leo Butz, two-time Tony winner. Hello, this is Larry Maslon, your host for Broadway to Main Street, here on 88.3 WLIW FM, Long Island's only signature, one-of-a-kind, dirty rotten NPR station. Well, I'm sure if you love musical theater as I do, you wouldn't be listening to this show. One of your favorite performers on Broadway in the last couple of decades is Norbert Leo Butz, two-time Tony winner, and we have him today on our show with a magnificent array of his performances. Welcome, Norbert.
Thank you, Larry. It's great to be here.
Norbert, you are the busiest man in show business. At least, like, audiences have to run around to catch you. You're opening in Erica Scheffer's Vladimir at Manhattan Theater Club at City Center stage on 55th Street.
Yep.
And you're all halfway through, right? I believe American Sports Story on Fox FX.
Yes. Yep.
As Bill Belichick.
That's Bill Belichick.
And for all those super duper esoteric music lovers, you will be in the film A Complete Unknown about Bob Dylan, where you are playing one of my heroes, Alan Lomax.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible to hear.
So a lot going on. Let's go back a little bit to your life. You're from the great city of St. Louis.
Yes, I am. I was a bit of a late bloomer, though. I didn't move to New York until I was 28 years old. I did an undergraduate degree. I did a BFA in acting, and then bopped around the country for a little bit, did some regional theater, went to Europe for a year and a half. And, I just sowed my oats a lot through my 20s. I got married quite young. So I came to New York in 1997, tail end of 96, I suppose. And I had some casting directors who knew who I was, but you're right. I got stupid lucky, Larry. I landed in New York. Rent had just exploded, literally opened on Broadway a few weeks before I moved here. And unbeknownst to me, they needed someone to understudy Adam and Anthony. The understudy wasn't working out. Long story short, I got fast-tracked into Bernie Telsey's office, and within less than 2 months of arriving in New York City, I was playing the lead in Rent every Sunday night. So it was, yeah. So it wasn't like an overnight type thing, because like I said, I had spent 10 years in the regions honing my skills.
You had gained your experience, as Shakespeare said, and as you like it.
Without a doubt, yes.
So I teach in the graduate musical theater writing program at NYU, and every year I ask my students, like, what is their seminal show? What's the show that changed their life? And about 5 years ago, the class was equally divided down the middle, 28 kids. Half said Sweeney Todd, and half said The Last 5 Years.
Oh, wow.
So that show didn't run very long. I had the privilege of seeing you in it at the Minetta Lane with Sherry Renee Scott, the great Sherry Renee Scott. And it has exploded beyond, the venue and the size of its run. Do you have any thoughts about that? I assume it's made such an impression on so many people.
That's beautiful to hear. I just got a chill up my spine when you said that. I will say this about that show. Jason Robert Brown, I met shortly before I did that show, maybe a year before. I went in for the original production of Parade. I was in Rent at the time, but I was a swing, and I was looking to make my mark and originate my own roles. And I went in for Parade and was offered the understudy to the original production, and I didn't want to go from understudying to understudying, so I turned that down. But that's when I first got on Jason's radar. And then I was asked to come and audition for The Last 5 Years. And before my audition, I think I was his first choice, because he said, hey, I would like to do a work session with you. So I went over to his apartment, and I remember, Larry, him playing me 2 songs from the show. And he played me Moving Too Fast, and he played me Nobody Needs to Know, which is this very haunting ballad where this character has to really come to terms with the fact that his marriage is over. And I had to excuse myself and go into his restroom, his bathroom. And I broke down in tears. I just couldn't. It was all stuck right here in my throat. And I just started sobbing. It was this immediate visceral response to the material. I think that's why multiple people have. There's something about it, something so universal about falling in love, that heady, insane, giddy, champagne feeling of falling in love. And then the reality of the disillusionment of love. It's just so universal. And
yeah, I guess it happens to everyone.
Everyone tells you that the minute you get married, every other woman in the world suddenly finds you attractive. Well, that's not true. It only affects the kind of women you always wanted to sleep with, but they wouldn't give you the time of day before. And now they're banging down your door and falling to their knees. At least that's what it feels like, because you cannot touch them. In fact, you can't even look at them. Close your eyes, close your eyes, close your eyes. Except you're sitting there eating your corned beef sandwich, and all of a sudden this pair of breasts walks by and smiles at you, and you're like, that's not fair. And in a perfect world, a miracle would happen, and every other girl would fly away, and it'd be me and Kathy, and nothing else would matter. But it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. I mean, I'm happy, and I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. It's not a problem, it's just a challenge. It's a challenge to resist temptation. And I have to say that what exacerbates the problem is I'm at these parties, I'm the center of attention, I'm the grand fromage, and here she comes. Let's get a cup of coffee. Will you look at my manuscript? And I'm showing her my left hand, I'm gesticulating with my left hand, and now, whoop, there's Kathy. Because she knows, they always know. And there's that really awkward moment where I try to show I wasn't encouraging this, though of course I sort of was. And I don't want to look whipped in front of this woman, which is dumb. I shouldn't care what she thinks, since I can't fuck her anyway. And in a perfect world, a miracle would happen, and every girl would look like Mr. Ed, and it'd be me and Kathy, and nothing else would matter. But it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. You know I love her, and it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. It's what I wanted, and I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. It's not a problem, it's just a challenge. It's a challenge to resist temptation.
When you come home to me, I'll wear a sweeter smile and hope that for a while you'll stay. When you come home to me, your hand will touch my face and banish any trace of gray. Soon a love will rise anew, even greater than the joy I felt just missing you. And once again I'll be so proud to call you mine. When finally you come home to me.
I'll be there soon, Kathy. I'll finish up this chapter and be out the door. I swear I'll be there soon, Kathy. Don't give up on me yet. I am so proud of you, baby. You're doing what you never got to do before, and I will be there. I've been crawling. If fucking Random House stops calling, don't lose faith. Don't get down. Don't despair. I'll be there. And in a perfect world, a miracle would happen, and that day would finally be here. And it'd be me and you writing it together, and the things we do going like we planned. We're gonna make it through, and nothing else will matter. We'll be fine, we're fine, we're fine, we're fine, we're fine, we're fine, we're fine. I'll be there soon, Kathy. I swear I will.
A miracle would happen. from the last 5 years. And we have a miracle today on our show, Norbert Leo Butz, going through the vast catalog of his vastly entertaining projects on Broadway and beyond. So around 2003, 2000, well, I guess in 2003, right, you stumbled into a little project, a little one-off called Wicked, which is now, of course, blowing up to be the biggest project of the holiday movie season. And you were quoted once as saying, yeah, when we opened, who knew? It didn't get the best review, but now I think you said it was like the biggest, most successful project in entertainment history. So talk a little about that.
Yeah, what do critics know, right?
Right.
It's interesting. I was doing the last 5 years when I got the script, an unfinished script audition for Wicked, and I turned it down. I turned the audition down. There just wasn't a whole lot there to work with. The part wasn't really fleshed out, and there wasn't a whole lot going on. I got into Wicked, and I was a very raw, very sad actor. I had two little girls. I was newly divorced, and that show was really a savior to me. Gave me a place to kind of go and gave my life some structure. And a couple of months into rehearsals, I fell in love with the actress playing Nessa Rose, who is my wife of almost 20 years here, Michelle Federer. Wow. She's in the next room. And we have a beautiful 13-year-old daughter ourselves. So Wicked is so special to me, just on such a personal level.
Yeah, I know you had a tough time in San Francisco with cast replacements and
yeah, it was a lot of cast, a lot of personnel changes, a lot of wild changes to the script all the time, and so it took them a long time to get that right. But again,
interesting, because you, when I try to think of who you're like, because you're not like anybody else, to me, you're sort of like the love child of James Dean and Bobby Morse. So.
I love that. That's hilarious.
It must have been fun to. I know that Bobby Morse didn't make it out of San Francisco, but it must have been fun because an interesting show. In that you had him on course, and then of course Joel Grey, but also you and Idina Menzel and Chris Fitzgerald and Christian Chenoweth were all these up and comers, and it really sent you all out in this amazing trajectory.
Yeah, I suppose so. Adina and I had been friends. We did Rent together. But that was my first time working with Kristen, who I fell in love with, as my friend calls her, heaven in a ponytail.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, the cast really bonded for sure over that. But it was clear from very early days. I was even asked if I wanted to invest in the show, and I said no. I don't think this is going to make it past the holidays.
That was almost as smart as turning down the audition.
Yes, right.
Great. Well, let us hear, speaking of Idina Menzel, As Long as You're Mine from the score to Wicked.
Kiss me too fiercely, hold me too tight. I need help believing you're with me tonight. My wildest dreamings could not foresee lying beside you, with you wanting me. Just for this moment, as long as you're mine, I've lost all resistance and crossed some borderline. And if it turns out it's over too fast, I'll make every last moment to last.
seeing through different eyes. Somehow I've fallen under your spell, and somehow I'm feeling the stuff that I found. Every moment, as long as you're mine, I wake up my body and make up for lost time. Say there's no future for us as a pair. I may know, I don't care, just for this moment, as long as you're mine, come be how you want to, and see how bright we shine, borrow the moonlight until it is through. What is it?
It's just, for the first time, I feel wicked.
That was Norbert Leo Butz and Idina Menzel from Wicked. Let's transition into a really big, I would imagine a big, not even career boost, but it just opened so many doors to your, you know, your very deep talent, which is Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. And I had the privilege of seeing it with Lithgow, and then John Lithgow, and then again with Jonathan Pryce.
Yes.
And you were fantastic in both of them. And we mentioned earlier Robert Morse, and it allowed you to kind of tap into this farcical genius you have, because there's almost like nowhere that character doesn't go, and yet you were completely grounded at the same time.
And you had mentioned before Jonathan Pryce coming in. Usually when replacements come in, it can be a challenge for a company. The whole dynamic changes. And I loved working with Jonathan Pryce. So wildly different from Lithgow. I felt like I just got two master classes in how two brilliant actors can, interpret a role differently. It was the time of my life. And it did open doors for me. I was able to do more television. I was able to have more choice, I suppose, in future projects. So,
and you wanted
a seminal piece for me. Yes,
that didn't hurt. Well,
craziness.
Just one of the crazy and most wonderful performances, in the last couple decades. Here is Norbert Leo Butz doing Great Big Stuff.
I thought I'd seen it all. I thought I knew the score. But coming here I found a world I've never seen before. Now I know where I belong. A life of taste and class, with culture and sophistication pouring out my ass. What do I want? I want this. I want this. I want this. I thought I had a real gift, that penny anti-grift. But Freddie's getting ready now to give his life a lift. I'm tired of being a chump. I wanna be like Trump. 200 pounds of caviar in one gigantic lump. Give me great big stuff. This is how I gotta live. Great big stuff. Oh no alternative. Great big stuff. I want my silver spoon. Don't need it right now, but I better get it soon. want a mansion with a moat, around which I will float, with some vast bottom babies in my glass bottom boat. A house in the Bahamas, paisley silk pajamas, poker with Al Roker and our friend Lorenzo Lamas. Give me great big stuff. I really do deserve it.
Great big stuff.
With servants who will serve it.
Great big stuff.
I don't give a damn what it's for. Every day's my birthday, every night is my bar mitzvah. Oh, give me a home where the centerfolds roam. Guccione on the phone, he got a party going on. And Heff'll have me over to play some naked twister. Blotto in the grotto with a playmate and her sister. Rap stars will love me.
Great big stuff.
Get me a posse,
Great big stuff.
chillin' in the city, sitting pretty in the caddy with P. Daddy or Pup Diddy or whatever. I'll change my name too. I'll get my hatchback all pimped out. The islands in the winter, the Hamptons in the summer, the fashion plate I date'll give me Hummers in my Hummer. The cash to keep me idle, the chicks to keep me vital, the pills to keep me happy even when I'm suicidal.
Great big stuff.
Oh, nothing crass or crappy.
Great big stuff.
That would make me very happy.
Great big stuff.
Bring it on and make it snappy. Classy shit!
Big stuff.
Like a mink track suit.
Big stuff.
My own personal Zamboni.
Big stuff.
Lots of unnecessary surgery.
Big stuff.
I can finally afford to see a Broadway show.
Big stuff.
Gout.
Big stuff. Great big stuff.
I just want someone to love me. For my money! Yeah! Oh, yeah!
Look at the way the moon behaves. Look at the way she paints a silver ribbon on the waves. One thing I've learned and I'll share with you: nothing is too wonderful to be true. Each moment opens like a flower. The age of miracles comes every hour on the hour. Turn any corner, there's something new. And nothing is too wonderful to be true. If I'm perceived to be naive, to be the way I am, let people say I am a silly goof. Is life a plateful? Am I grateful? Every day I am. It's an amazing world in which we live, and I've got living proof. Look at the way the moon behaves. Look at the way she paints a silver ribbon on the waves, leading directly to me. Wonderful to be true. Nothing is too wonderful to be true. Can't you see it? Can't you see it?
You know, I think I can.
Tell me.
Magic can happen anywhere. I knew this guy at camp who ate his t-shirt on a dare. My hotel gives away free shampoo. Nothing is too wonderful to be true.
Go on.
Oh, jeez. Sometimes God grants your heart's desires. Once I was caller number 8. I won a set of tires. They held up that midget with crazy glue. Nothing is too wonderful to be true. Nothing is too wonderful to be true.
Nothing is too wonderful to be true from Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. And it's almost too wonderful to be true. Our guest today is Norbert Leo Butz, with such a magnificent amount of material that you've covered on Broadway. This is Larry Maslon, your host for Broadway to Main Street. When I look at your great big stuff, the work you've done, you've really, I don't know whether by accident or design, but you work with Yazbek, you work with Jason Robert Brown, as we'll hear in a moment. You've worked with Whitman and Shaman. You've worked with Andrew Lippa. You work with really the rising stars of this current generation, rather than necessarily falling back on a lot of revivals or older stuff, or, stuff that most of your work is new and exciting and innovative. Is that something that just happened, or is that something that you look forward to or you look out for when you're making choices?
I do think it was just fate. I don't think as we know from my failure to invest in Wicked, I've never had sort of that smart of a strategic mind.
Right.
I just think my sensibility maybe has skewed toward the contemporary more.
Well, as someone who breaks a lot of the traditional rules on Broadway, let's go and listen to your next Tony winner, Don't Break the Rules, from Catch Me If You Can.
Hey, Randy, were you always like this?
I think I was born this way. Other kids wanted to play cops and robbers. I only wanted to play cops. It starts very early, once the baby toys are gone. A kid on the playground has to choose what side he's on. It's the bullies or the good guys, boy, there ain't no middle ground. The hoodlums try to blur the line and twist the truth around. Then they call themselves a winner, but they're self-deceiving fools. 'Cause the game ain't worth a winning if you're breaking all the rules. The law is laid upon us when as kids we first ask why. Our parents set the rules when 'cause I said so, they reply. And though I thought I hated them and screamed with all my might, the next time that I had a choice, gee whiz, I did what's right. No, I never snuck a drink, I never stole a pack of coos. 'Cause the game ain't worth a winning if you're breaking all the rules.
Don't break the rules.
Or else we're living in the wild, wild west.
Don't break the rules.
God's keeping score, you don't wanna fail that test.
Don't break the rules.
You thumb your nose right at the life for which I strive.
But those rules, those laws keep us alive.
Well, it started back with Moses when he led around the Jews.
The Jews.
And climbed way up that mountain to pick up God's daily news.
Tell me the news.
He schlepped up on Mount Sinai, cried and begged on their behalf.
Oh,
he almost dropped those tablets when he saw that golden calf.
What?
Now we teach the 10 Commandments
every Sunday in our schools.
'Cause the game ain't worth a winning if you're breaking all the rules. I guess the Constitution, boys, to some is too complex. They think our founding fathers fought so they could forge some checks. They see themselves as Robin Hood, stealing from the rich.
Don't you know that?
Not paying back the things they take, well, payback is a bitch. 'Cause the world ain't Sherwood Forest,
You can't give away those jewels.
and the game ain't worth a winning if you're breaking all the rules.
Don't break
living in the wild, wild west.
Don't break the rules.
And God's keeping scout. You don't want to fail that test.
Don't break the rules.
You thumb your nose right at the life for which I strive.
But those rules, those laws keep us alive.
Hey! When you steal somebody's money, screw his daughter or his wife, you don't think of repercussions as you tap dance through your life. Though you smile like you're a hero,
You're an outlaw through and through.
but the odds are in my favor, man. One day I'll catch you. Go sneak into a movie, run a red light, sell some pot. It's all the same to me. You're either guilty or you're not. If we all did what we wanted every time we felt the earth, the world would be total chaos. It's already on the verge. Yes, it's laws that keep us human.
'Cause without that we're just mules.
In the game ain't worth it. I said the game ain't worth it. Whoa, whoa, the game ain't worth it. If we're breaking all the rules,
Don't break the rules.
or else we're living in the wild, wild west.
Don't break the rules.
God's keeping scout. You don't want to fail that test.
Don't break the rules.
You thumb your nose right at the life for which I strive.
But those rules, those laws.
Say what?
Those rules, those laws.
Again, boys.
Rules, those laws keep us alive.
We're here with Norbert Leo Butz, who can do just about anything. He seems to be doing everything these days. He's opening in a play, a fairly serious play called Vladimir, about Russia, at the Manhattan Theater Club at their city center stage. And also he'll be on TV, I guess, through the rest of the month, an American Sports Story. And he's playing one of my heroes, Alan Lomax, in the Bob Dylan bio, A Complete Unknown. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Vladimir? Because you've done everything. I mean, you've done Mamet and you've done Mark Twain, for Pete's sake. How many actors can say that? But this seems to be a very topical and insightful new play.
It is, and I'm really excited about it. And I did a workshop of this play a couple of years ago, written by a woman named Erica Sheffer. And so the play takes place in 2004 and involves a slightly fictionalized version of a real group of journalists who set about reporting on Russian malfeasance and war crimes. And it is a heavy topic, but she writes really deftly. She's funny. She's really insightful. And yeah, talk about having her finger on the pulse. I mean, 4 more journalists were jailed last week in Russia as we speak. And I think authoritarianism is a playbook that many countries are starting to adopt, and including one of the candidates, in my opinion, of the United States for the second time. So yeah, I think it's a very prescient, very important play.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing that. Let's turn back to this notion of revivals. So you scored another Tony nomination for going back to one of the great, masterpieces of the American musical theater, My Fair Lady. And you hinted that you'd like to try some more revivals in the future. Any roles out there that from the canon that appeal to you, or secretly, or something you want to say to radio audiences where there might be producers listening?
It's so interesting. There's a phenomenon, a very negative phenomenon, that for women, after they get into their 40s and 50s in Hollywood, that the work starts to really become very limited. And almost the opposite is true of men in musical theater. The roles tend to get better for women as they get into their 40s and 50s. But it's not.
That's
so
thanks
true
to Jerry Herman, almost exclusively.
Thanks to Jerry Herman, and it's not true of men. So I don't know. I think the ship has sailed for me on a lot of the great parts. But
oh golly, I'd love to see you as Tevye someday.
Well, I don't. That's an interesting point. But Fiorello is an interesting role.
It certainly is.
But he doesn't sing.
That would be a waste. Do you know a Phil Silvers musical called Top Banana?
I don't.
It's a musical in which he played Milton Berle essentially in the early days of television with a Johnny Mercer score. And
why don't we do that?
It needs someone who's absolutely fearless, and I think that's you on stage.
All right, let's get it rolling.
Get it rolling. But first, we're going to roll a little bit to a studio recording of Allegro by Rodgers and Hammerstein, and then we'll move on to My Fair Lady.
Our world is for the forceful and not for sentimental folk, but brilliant and resourceful and paranoid gentlefolk.
Not soft and sentimental folk.
Allegro, a musician, would so describe the speed of it, the clash and competition of counterpoint.
The need of it?
We cannot prove the need of it. We know no other way of living out a day. Our music must be galloping and gay.
We muffle all the undertones, the minor blood and thunder tones. The overtones are all we care to play.
Hysterically frantic, we're stubbornly romantic and doggedly determined to be gay.
Brisk, lively, merry, and bright Allegro. Same tempo, morning and night Allegro. Don't stop whatever you do. Do something dizzy and new. Keep up the hullabaloo. Allegro. 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 Allegro.
We spin and we spin and we spin and we spin, playing a game no one can win. The men who corner wheat, the men who corner gin, the men who rule the airwaves, the denizens of din. They spin and they spin, they spin and they spin.
The girls who dig for gold and won't give in for tin, the lilies of the field, so femininely thin. They toil not, but oh, how they spin.
Oh, how they spin. Oh, how they spin. May's in love with Kay's husband, he's in love with Sue. Sue's in love with May's husband, what are they to do? Tom's in love with Tim's wife, she's in love with Sam. Sam's in love with Tom's wife, so they're in a jam.
They are smart little sheep who have lost their way. Blah, blah, blah.
Brisk, light, and merry, and right Allegro. Same tempo, morning and night Allegro. Don't stop whatever you do. Do something dizzy and new. Keep up the hullabaloo. Allegro, 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 Allegro,
Allegro. The Lord above gave man an arm of iron, so he could do his job and never shirk. The Lord above gave man an arm of iron, but with a little bit of luck, with a little bit of luck, someone else will do the blinking work. With a little bit, with a little bit, with a little bit of luck, you'll never work. The Lord above made liquor for temptation, to see if men could turn away from sin. The Lord above made liquor for temptation, but with a little bit of luck, with a little bit of luck, when temptation comes you'll give right in. With a little bit, come on boys, with a little bit, with a little bit of luck you'll give right in. Oh, you can walk the straight and narrow, but with a little bit of luck you'll run amok. The gentle sex was made for man to marry, to share his nest and see his food is cooked. The gentle sex was made for man to marry, but with a little bit of luck, with a little bit of luck. You can have it all and not get hooked. With a little bit, with a little bit, with a little bit of luck you won't get hooked. With a little bit, with a little bit, with a little bit of blooming luck. A man was made to help support his children, which is the right and the proper thing to do. A man was made to help support his children, but with a little bit of luck, with a little bit of luck, they'll go out and start supporting you. With a little bit, come on boys! With a little bit of luck, they'll work for you.
He doesn't have but tuppence in his pocket.
Everyone!
For his blood you'll ever hope to meet.
Oh, thanks a lot,
He
mate!
doesn't have but tuppence in his
I ain't got
pocket.
nothing!
With a little bit of luck, with a little bit of luck,
I'll be moving up to easy street. With a little bit, with a little bit, with a little bit of luck is moving up. I'm moving up. With a little bit, with a little bit, with a little bit of moving luck.
Well, with a lot of bit of luck, we have Norbert Leo Butz on our show today. That was his performance as Alfred Doolittle in the recent revival at Lincoln Center Theater. There's like no end to what you're doing. Tell me a little bit about Alan Lomax that you're playing on in this film, because if you know anything about the roots of American musical theater history, he is on that Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, I just got very, very lucky again. And I don't know how this role fell into my lap, but it did. And I had heard the name. I love American folk music. I'm a huge fan of the blues. I am from St. Louis.
Right.
That's kind of that's the soundtrack of St. Louis. So for the listeners who don't know who he was, I guess, known as America's preeminent ethnomusicologist. He was an academic, but he was responsible for discovering so many folk songs that have now become part of American popular music. And he was responsible for discovering a lot, especially of African American blues artists down in the South, and bringing them into a wider audience.
Well, I think the great point about Alan Lomax is he took these marginalized voices that would have disappeared if he hadn't recorded them. And
Absolutely.
in doing so with his tape deck, created American music. I mean, created this legacy for American music. So we owe him, even those of us who like show tunes, we owe him so much. And it's amazing that you're playing him. I can't wait to see that film. So speaking of show tunes, we're going to close out with a kind of amazing 11 o'clock number you had in Big Fish, which was a highly inventive musical with a score by Andrew Lippa, but I'm guessing maybe didn't hit the mark in the way perhaps you had hoped it would from a commercial point of view.
That's part of this crazy, insane business that we sign up for. You do the same amount of work, you put the same blood, sweat, and tears into the projects that fail as the projects that are huge successes. It's very democratic that way. And the show was never able to find an audience. It was never able to. You have to do one of two things. You either have to please the critics or the audiences, and it just wasn't able to score on either of those counts.
Well, I'm sorry that our time together has come to an end, but we're going to close out with How It Ends from Big Fish. And Norbert, good luck with Vladimir, and I can't wait to see the million other things you're going to do next.
Thanks, Larry. This was fun.
I've seen this all before.
when I was just a child. I met a witch who took a bow and showed me how it ended. We stood here on the shore. The air was sweet and mild, with disbelief implausibly suspended. And in my child's imagination, I remember you, though I didn't know if we were foes or friends. But now you're standing here, I see the vision coming clear. I know exactly how this ends. It ends with you. It ends with me. It ends the way our story's ending is supposed to be. A bit insane, a touch of pain, a deftly told, yet uncontrolled. It ends with faith. It ends with love. It ends with water in a river and the sun above. Part epic tale, part fire sail, but all sincere and standing here. I know I wasn't perfect. I know my life was small. I know that I pretended that I knew it all. But when you tell my story, and I hope somebody does, remember me as something bigger than I was. It ends with sons. It ends with wives. It ends with knowing when the pavement bends we find our lives. So let it come and let me go. Show me the waves and let them flow. It all ends well. This much I know.
Well, where is the time all gone to? This is Larry Maslon here at Broadway to Main Street. Let's catch up next Sunday at 3.
There's so much more embracing still to be done, but time is racing. Oh, well, we'll catch up some other time.